News for episode 17 of Missile Industries XB Found Fairmont Hardtop project. I'm going to put stuff in this engine bay after a long delay and many side quests. I think I have everything I need to bolt the goodies back into that engine bay. Maybe even this 351. But we'll see how things progress. But most importantly right now, I have a power steering suitable coupling to go on my rebuilt power steering box. So that's great news. So first things first, I'm going to stick the power steering box back into the car, probably not with the steering column on it just yet, and then from there I can build on that with the brake booster, the brake master cylinder, the clutch master cylinder, and all the hard and soft lines that go with that stuff. I'll probably put in the power steering lines that I have available for it to see if they're going to work. So that's what I'm going to get into this episode, depending on how well things go. I'm going to say it out loud just in case things don't go well. I might even be able to swing this motor into this engine bay on this weekend, because this is Saturday afternoon. And I've only just made my way into the shed after a morning of on and off rain. The rain is currently off, so the bum of the wagon is sticking out into the daytime air, and I have space in my workspace to move around. So let's have at it. I'm not sure where I'm going to put this camera while I faff about. I'll stick it over there. But anyway, time to get into putting all the pieces together. Okay, I have barely started and I have already got my first hurdle. This is a 1-inch socket. Now this is the old school steering coupler that came with the steering box, and look how neatly that socket fits into there. Perfect. This is the new coupler. Now I've just gone through all the motions to try and get this to work, and this does not fit in here. So what I've ended up doing is chamfering that rubber damper there, and then rounding off the edge of the socket, and then using the impact driver to push this in so it gets traction. And I've used the impact driver to tighten it up. Now it looks as though you could probably use a drift to keep tightening it, but I've subjected this to the ugga-dugga, and as far as I can tell now, it's tight. So hurdle number 1 has been overcome. Ouch. So there we go. Alright, I want onwards and upwards. Okay, yet more hurdles. I discovered I had to chase out all these threads with a 7/16 tap and some inox because they were very rusty and my yellow XB bolts were not going to work in them, which is weird because this box came out of my XC where the bolts had only just been freshly removed from this power steering housing. So how did they get so rusty? I can only conclude that when they rang me up and said your steering shaft is actually bent, but we've got another one, they just replaced the entire steering box, rebuilt it all, handed it back with the big pipe set up in it like it was when I returned it, and then said, here is your steering box. But these threads here were very, very rusty, and I've, like they would be if a box had been left out and unused for a number of years, so I've chased all those threads out and now they all work. So now I can put the steering box in. Well, so far so good. Might have to go buy myself some more of those shiny anodised nuts rather than recycle all the rusty ones that came out of the car. But I think for tonight that will do. Alright, it's Sunday morning. Now typically I'd be riding my mountain bike right now with as much zest as a 50-year-old man can muster, but it's raining again, so I'm in the shed early today. And while I'm thinking about it, I should probably do the pedal assembly on this car, because obviously it has an auto pedal assembly in it. Well, I was ginning around last night putting the booster back in, and I had to undo the pedal box to make everything line up. So what I really need to do is get rid of this auto pedal and put in my manual pedals. Now I've got a set of manual pedals left over from my XC sedan, but the problem is the manual pedal box for the XC sedan is still in the XC sedan, so I've had to think about a solution that will adapt. I've had to think about a solution that will adapt the auto pedal box that I have either on the bench right here or in the car to work with manual pedals. Now, some of you might argue that you just smash a pin through there and it'll all just work out, and that does indeed look like the situation. But I'm sure when I put an auto box pedal into my XC, there was actually an additional rod sticking out of this manual pedal box frame that this attached to. Now, I could be wrong, because I did it a long time ago and it was very awkward to get to. But logically speaking, you should just be able to put a pin through there and have your pedals work. So what I've done is buy an adapter kit which supplies you with a clutch pedal and a longer rod to go through there. So I'm going to steal this manual pedal from the XC sedan, pair it up with what I can only imagine is a clutch pedal that's almost identical to this one, and a longer rod to go through there. Then I will have manual pedals for my XB Fairmont hardtop, because everything's better when it's a manual transmission. Everything. Unless it's 700 horsepower, then probably should go auto. green. Okay, now that the auto pedal, resplendent in green overspray, has been removed from my soon-to-be manual car, I may as well pull this manual pedal out and swap the auto pedal into its place, so this will be a going concern for future projects, somebody else's future project, maybe my future project, but I'll just put this into there, get this brake pedal out that I want, and soldier on. And there we have it, manual pedals for my manual hardtop. Should probably take that out of there, shouldn't I? It's not doing anything anymore. Somebody might want it. Quick technical question, dear viewers. Does the single rail shifter come up the same hole as the automatic shifter? I've got the distinct impression that it does, and half the reason we have a hump there is because the shifter comes right out of that spot there. If memory serves me correctly, that's how it worked with my old hardtop back in the day, but I never had the gearbox out of that car, so I don't really know for sure. I just know that there was gear stick coming out of the floor, and there was a floor hump there because I had to buy the right carpet to suit. Okay, it's time to address the power steering high pressure line fitting. Now, I got a Mackay power steering fitting months ago because it was only $86, and I thought, what the hell, I'll grab that, because theoretically the XD351 power steering line should have the 16mm O-ring fitting on it, right? Now this looks awfully similar to the 16mm O-ring fitting broadly speaking, but I've tried to fit it into my pump that has a 16mm O-ring fitting on it, and it does not want to go. There's quite a bit of difference between these two fittings, so I'm kind of stuck. So I think I'm going to need to take this power steering line in to get that fitting modified, if that's at all possible. I don't know what the go is with that, but it seems like it's the wrong one. I need that fitting there. It screws nicely into the back of this power steering pump. So this one does not want to go at all. But in other high pressure line news, I really like the way this pipe runs down across the subframe and underneath the engine mount, rather than kind of coming up over here like the XB and the XC used to do. So I suspect if it comes around like that and goes underneath the extractors, that would be hugely beneficial for my running of pipes and this and that. So I can get this fitting modified to suit the 16mm O-ring fitting. I reckon that will go in somewhere around here without much drama, and it would lend itself very well to this engine bay. But I should probably be patient and get this engine in first before I go making any commitments, which means I'll have to pull that line in and out of the car once the motor's in, which will be super annoying. I could just chance it and get the hose modified sooner rather than later, so at least that way, if it works and it goes in with the reel set I have available, that problem will be solved, because I like how that runs across the subframe and then underneath the engine mount. That's super convenient. So what to do? So in the fading afternoon, I might throw that steering column back in, because I'd like to have the seat and the steering wheel in place, just because so I can sit in it and go brum brum, because everything's kind of stalling out with where I want to put this line. I need to go talk to some hose specialists sometime and then figure out where I'm going to go with my lines. I had all these same headaches with my XC sedan all those years ago, and now I'm revisiting it. Damn it. Summary time for episode 17. This isn't so much of a summary as a to be continued yet again, because obviously I'm moving step by step closer to getting the engine in the car, but I need to make some decisions about what power steering lines I want to use, and when I'm going to get that done, and where I'm going to get that done. So that's a nuisance. So unfortunately I'm going to leave us off at this juncture here. Steps and steps closer, but still no motor insertion. I'm getting there slowly but surely. Just bear with me.